was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, dude?
Yo.
And today we are going to be discussing two topics. We're going to be talking about why it's a little some Superman fans are disingenuous about like calling Zack Snyder's Superman all grimdark when they hold up post-crisis, and we're going to answer the question that's been going on throughout the internet, which I think some people being a little disingenuous on, is if Superman was a flop. So let's start with the Cameron's request that we start with post-crisis. So let's do that. So here's the thing. And Robert, I vividly remember your reaction when I told you that the people that don't like Zack Snyder's Superman for being all grimdark are mostly post-crisis fans.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Robert, what significant event in Superman's life happened in post-crisis?
Oh, I don't know. His death?
Exactly! I'm like, wait a minute here. And it's like here's the thing. There's a reason why I use the Jim Lee for Tomorrow cover, because whenever they talk about how Zack Snyder sees Superman, how James Gunn sees Superman, it's always like for James Gunn, it's the most like down to earth, oh golly, all-star Superman image. For Zack, it's always like new 52 or anything like that. I'm like, post-crisis, if any. Post-crisis was one of the darkest iterations of Superman.
I won't go that far.
I like this one, at least in my reading history. You could have read, as far as I've read.
I would say this. Here's how I would phrase it. Post-crisis definitely had a much balanced.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Now, here's what post-crisis did. They grounded Superman. Here's what I mean by that. They made it so it wasn't like they
planets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for one thing, yes, they depowered him, but they also made it so like he couldn't solve every problem. It's like, wasn't there a story? I think you and I went over on PTN where like he keeps trying to like save all these people, and then to the point where this lady's praying to him like he's Jesus.
Yep. We went over
exactly. That. It's stuff like that, and it's like that's the thing. Now, you could argue that post-crisis was maybe still boring Superman, which I know some people do in my audience. And to be clear, Robert, I don't agree with that. Let me be clear on that.
That's what I went, boo.
But here's the thing. The part that I really take issue with is when the anti-Snyder crowd make it out like Snyder was like the darkest Superman ever when they say that like their favorite era was post-crisis Superman.
And they didn't read it.
They clearly
or they picked and choose.
It's one of those two, because it could be because it's a lot of younger fans that probably haven't read the Death of Superman or any of these other storylines, so they don't get it. It's the same people that say Dark Knight Returns is really problematic, and I go, oh come on, just shut up, just admit you don't like it. Because it's like, here's the thing, it's like even the Triangle era, were there stories that I didn't like? Yeah, of course. In any era, there's going to be.
We know the entire Electric Blue saga, remember?
Electric Blue saga, here's the thing. In the beginning, Electric Blue saga, for the most part, is not as bad as people like try and say it is. However, hey, what's up, Edwin? But it's like, look, it is like it went on for too long, because that's you have the best story ever. But if it goes on for too long, people are going to be like, just get back to the regular stories already.
And that had all darkness in it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Or it's like ignoring death. You also had like, let's not forget, Our World's at War.
Death of Clark Kent.
Yeah, I'm like, Death of Clark Kent, exactly. So I'm like, when you but Cameron also brings up another point. Most of the Zack Snyder haters either never watched Man of Steel or didn't rewatch it, or going off bias in vids. Like some people, a mutual friend of ours, I'm not gonna name names, critiqued like the movies, but she hadn't rewatched them in years.
Right.
So I go, at the very least, rewatch them recently, because like when I brought up Counterpoint, she was like, oh yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, no hate. I just want to bring that up. But it's like, look, you again, and now to be clear, you don't have to like Zack Snyder's movies. I want to be very clear about that. It's just be a little genuine when you are critiquing these movies.
I agree.
but it's like, and it's again, I don't like to say in terms of the comic accurate argument, because that's
all versions have accuracy to it.
Exactly.
None of them are one-to-one. None of them are one-to-one.
No, because you can't. Exactly what I was saying when Superman was coming out. You can't. Even Superman, James Gunn was not 100% comic accurate. It had a lot of comic accuracies. I'm not going to say it didn't, but it's like even with
I still stand by. In my opinion, is it more accurate than Snyder's? In my opinion, yes.
Okay, and in my opinion, it's like either equal or like a little less, particularly as it applies to Krypton. But we've had that conversation. But it's like the thing is, like, if you know what to look for, you can find comic book references in any Superman movie, period. That's it.
And yet there's enough in there that Zach can recommend the stories.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Zach, James.
Also Zach, because it's like, hey, a lot of Man of Steel is Birthright and Earth One.
Yep.
A lot of it is like a conglomeration of those two. Gunn, it's also like is Birthright. Heavily Birthright.
With a bit of for all seasons.
Apocalypse probably in just the Krypton. Yes, for all seasons. Yeah, exactly, Kadar. Accuracy is so subjective. It's like I could say system is accurate, but then someone else could go, no, it's not actually accurate because he didn't get this. He didn't get this. He didn't get this.
But again, I'll say this: the DC movies are usually more accurate than the Marvel movies.
Oh yes, it's like, and Cameron brings up a good point. These comics have been around since the 30s. Accuracy has gone out the window, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Now,
for example,
yeah, go ahead.
Adam West Batman is still accurate.
Yeah, exactly. To that era. It's like that's the thing. I personally am not the biggest fan of the Chris Reeves movies, but what people have to realize when they say like they're goofy, that's the way Superman was back then. That's Silver Age Superman before. That's pre-crisis Superman.
Exactly.
That's the way Superman was. Same with Adam West. Same with like Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. It's like all these the adaptations that people hold up just reflect the way the character was approached in that time period. Like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is modern day Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a reason why Cyborg's on the Justice League and Zack Snyder's freaking Justice League.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, I don't know why people don't get it. I think it's also because you have some people that came in a different era and want that era to be the movies forever. And I go, that's never going to happen, though.
Like, tell me if you agree with this. We're not going to get another New 52 Superman on screen. Not, like more inspired.
I don't think so either.
Like, and we're not going to get a majority of New 52 on screen is what I mean. Like, the majority, like,
I would say so.
You know what I mean? Because that is what Zach gave us, was a very close to New 52.
Yeah, that and it's kind of a lot of absolute probably took from that, but it's like yeah, exactly. What I would say again is like a lot of comics, the comic movies going on are probably going to be reflective of either some post-crisis and a lot of like the whatever era we're in, the all-in era. Yep. Let's say in terms of like recommendations and stuff. But it's like, look, it's like again. Saying now, here's where I think a lot of people on Twitter are being a little disingenuous. It's like, look, if you're going to be comic accurate, does not necessarily mean comic accurate does not mean does not mean you have to like it. Because some people use that argument on just adaptations they hate. By NJ says, I always wondered how Batman jumped to that point where he carried guns and shoots folks to hate guns, because when it happened very early. What had happened is that at a certain point, I think it like was solidified with the Comics Code Authority.
Actually, it was a little bit beforehand. It was actually by the time they started to bring in Robin, it's around that point. Basically, the very beginning, the reason why he killed was because the Pulp people heroes killed. That was it.
That makes sense.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, Cameron? Unfortunately, no, Robin. Wait, what did I say? Wait, what?
Yeah, Cameron, repeat it.
Yeah, but let me just put it this way. Batman dropping him killing, it was barely there.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Most heroes back then even killed back then. Back then.
Yeah, Batman actually being one of the ones when they decided not to kill made it more of a rarity than not.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it was very early. They basically, Kane and Rogers and all of that. Not Rogers. Yeah. All of them look back and they're like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, look, it's like even now. Here's the other thing: the post-crisis fans. I'm glad you brought that up, Robert and NJ. A lot of the post-crisis fans say Superman doesn't kill, ignoring the fact that A, that's not really a thing, and B, he killed in the early post-crisis stuff. Now, let's.
It was done out of spite. It was done out of spite.
Now, let's be. And the other thing is, like, yes, in post-crisis he killed, and we got the like aftermath. That there's an entire omnibus of the aftermath from that.
And that was because the creators decided to stick to when you're talking about the New 52 being made and getting a mainstream. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's not because it's online critics. It's because it's not. It's more because that's not what they're focusing on now. New 52
yeah, because it's like they rebooted, so they're not gonna go. Let's use the exact same source material as the last movie series.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, with Superman, yeah, he killed. Now, like I said, but the fact that Carlin. Yeah, okay, here's how it happened, all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Byrne was already leaving. He was getting a bit fed up with everything, so he decided to do it, and he turned in the last issue, and it was a screw you. It was, now granted, it also could have been his statement on everything as well, because it's when Superman, you dealt with, it was the Pocket Earth, the Pocket Universe story arc.
Yeah.
Where the Pocket Universe they introduced beforehand. Turns out a bunch of Kryptonians were released. And that was, the Phantom Zoners.
Yeah, exactly.
They were released and they slaughtered everyone, like literally.
Yeah.
Right? In the issue beforehand, we found out that the 3 Phantom Zoners who had, think about this, they had pre-crisis level strength. They bored to the center of the Earth. When they went to the ocean, bored to the center of the Earth. All of the water went right into the core, steam, whoosh, what took out the atmosphere.
Jeez.
Just think about that.
Well, and here's the other thing, Robert. Now, let me tell you this. Superman arguably had more of an argument to kill in Man of Steel. Here's why. There's no kryptonite. Where are they going to put Zod?
Well,
at least in this universe, in the comic universe, they had kryptonite at this point. So it's like, really?
Remember, there was only one chunk of kryptonite.
Okay. Well,
remember that. But even then, it would not affect Zod and the others.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But now Superman did expose them to gold kryptonite. Now his option would have been leave them there; they would have died, or bring them to his world. He doesn't know if they would have regained their powers or not. And if they did,
that's a good point.
He couldn't stop them.
Exactly. That's a good point. And NJ brings up a good point. Yeah. And NJ, I agree with you that it's good because NJ says that's why I hated when Wonder Woman killed Maxwell Lord when she had no other options left. And Superman and Batman act like a moron and a hypocrite. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
that's true, but I'll be honest. Here, it was still a problem.
No, exactly. But it's like, it's the holier than thou.
It's my whole issue with Man of Steel. The writer should not have put him in that prediction to begin with.
But again, it's like you can make the argument again. You were going to see the aftermath of that, like Superman deal with the fall.
And that's exactly what Carlin and Ordway, because Ordway was the carryover. Wolfman had already left. The two sat down right afterward. They're like, "Oh boy, what do we do? Byrne's gone. We can't have him rework it. We don't have time to be able to change it. How about we actually see it through, but we actually play off of it?"
See, that's very respectable because
they realized also
they could have retconned it.
And when even at the end, Byrne had to be he just moved on, but they're like, what if he thinks he's moved on, but it's eating away at him?
That's great. And Cameron also brings up how about the people? What about when people defend the snap by saying Zack made a decision by putting Superman in that decision, and they get attacked with Zack's a bad writer. Zack didn't write Man of Steel, so that's the thing. And that's the other reason why Robert and I want to do this topic. Zack gets blamed for stuff. Some stuff was his fault, or like you can attribute to some of his stuff.
Yeah, we'll get okay. Let's bring that part up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because there's a lot of stuff that Zack gets unfairly blamed on, but okay, there are 3 different ways things categories. The stuff he gets blamed for, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that he doesn't get blamed for with no justification. And then you have the stuff that you could see why people blame him for. And unfortunately, it's something that you can't just shake off.
So let's start with, what do you think he gets blamed for unjustly?
Unjustly? The paw Kent. Okay. No, not the paw Kent. Well, yeah, the snapping of the neck. Now, granted, he did push for it, but it wasn't his initial idea.
Yeah, and it's like, again, he said no. It's because Nolan was at first against it, but when they told him what they wanted, when they told Nolan what they wanted to do with it, Nolan was like, "Okay, I see. I'm in favor of that." Because again,
yeah.
Well, first off, Nolan had Batman kill. Let's face it. So it's like, yeah,
I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
You're still killing him. My Batman's
I had to do that.
Thank you. Now, what do you think is halfway? Like, what you can argue he's to blame for?
The paw Kent bit. Because of how he shot. No. Because how he shot it so grandiose and over the top.
Okay, I can give you that one.
How he drew it and shot it made it so like he could have. Here's the thing: the script did say what happened, but he should have looked at it and probably seen some of the flaws, and then be like, maybe if I had a bit more stuff in between, rather than having it be an open road.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about, and that's why I say with the podcast scene, I agree with the story it's trying to tell. What you could have done is make it so like it's virtually impossible for him to do anything without here's the other thing, Robert. Would you have accepted this when they're in the car before the tornado hits? If like Superman says, I don't need at this point, I could hear it and I could shoot lasers out of my eyes. I don't know what other powers I have.
Exactly.
Because you can make the argument he doesn't know he has super speed. That's what people forget. Some people critique Zack Superman assuming he has all the knowledge of post-crisis already established Superman.
But that's what makes it hard, because there's enough wiggle room. No, you can see one way or the other why someone would be like, "Oh, of course he does."
Yeah, but it's like, again, to see it.
I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's like with that, it's like, yes, he could have shot it, or like say, hey, can I add some stuff in the.
What if he's a director? He wouldn't even have to ask. He would just decide it.
Yeah, exactly, and go, okay, it's going to do the same thing, but we got to make this more obvious. There's no way he could save them.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. Now, what do you think he justly gets blamed for? Let's see if I can maybe change your mind on that.
That's now in Man of Steel. That's the hard one, but I would more say a lot of decisions would come afterward. After Man of Steel was, from BVS onward, because those are the ones. Because that's where you have most of the heavy story decision ideas. Granted, there's a bunch that you can blame Warner Bros. For. No argument.
Because bear in mind, before you state this, I know you know this, but I want to restate it for the fan base. Zack came in. He was going to do just 3 Superman movies like Nolan did. DC came in. It was actually before. It was either during Man of Steel's filming or before Man of Steel even started filming, and said, "Hey, can you make this an entire universe? And you have to get to the Justice League now. So you can't wait and have like solo movies for everything. You have to do it now. Okay, now go."
Now, exactly. Now, I was going to say, but despite that, you can still then say, but he was given some edicts. But he chose to go in the directions he went with then.
Okay. So
because again, it's not like they said, you have to do this part, you have to do this, you have to do that. They said, you have to have Batman. You got to lead up to the Justice League.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to, because Zack asked, okay, but can I build up to it with like more so you can have a Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman movie and then release Justice League? And I go, and they said, no, you have to do it now. That's why also.
No, I get that. But again, But that doesn't mean that how the rest of the story played out. Like the Jimmy bit, for example. And I do take into account how he was, when I do recall, I don't remember exactly which one, but there was the interview where he was proud that he killed off Jimmy because he thought he was worthless.
That doesn't sound, honestly, that I've heard Zack talk. He doesn't really.
It was somewhere along those lines. I could be wrong. I admit, I could be wrong.
NJ, he says that he lost his true power, hope. No one stays good in this world. No, but he, NJ, that's part of his character arc, though, because if you look at the arc he goes for at the end, he because the whole point of that movie is like, because when you hear Pa Kent, when he goes to the ghost of Pa Kent on that mountain in BVS, Pa Kent tells a story about how, hey, I saved myself, or like I saved people, but then it ended up killing a lot of farm horses.
I would say that's a case where I will give kudos to Zack.
Yeah, exactly.
The salvage paw.
Yeah, because here's what happened. Because I like to think that, and now this is not confirmed, I like to think that even Zack was not a big fan of what happened with Pa. So he goes, let me give them something. So it's like, there you go. But it's like, so that built it. But then Pa Kent says, I met your mother and she became my world. So at the end of it, no, he got the hope back. And he says, no, by focusing on Lois, he goes, I'm protecting you. You are my world.
I still say, though, by giving Mazo the whole get to it or do none of it, that felt a little... I'm not a fan of any of
again. She's not telling him to. She knows he's going to save people. She knows her son and knows he's not going to stop helping people.
Right.
So
I know, but even bringing up that possibility. By the way, I found the bits of the Supergirl saga. If you want me to show you.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, and I'm like, look. That's the thing. If you guys don't agree with now here's the thing. People take those things that maybe they don't like from a story perspective and say he hates comics, he hates Superman, he's never read a Superman comic.
Oh, no, hell no.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying
I'm saying hell no to that.
To be clear, I want to be fair on this. The same people say the same stuff about Gunn with the whole family.
Oh yeah, or the middle name thing.
Or the middle name thing. I go, I'm sorry, but so when I was on a podcast, they mentioned that, and guess what? I said a lot of Superman writers don't even know Superman's middle name. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, here's them boring to the center of it.
Okay, that's cool.
But here's the thing, though. We set up it's like 5 billion humans, uncounted billions upon billions of life forms, have perished horribly because of these so-called Kryptonian. It's time Zod and his murdering crew were made to pay in full. But, hold on. And where do you see this famous cover? This is a well-known cover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not it. This cover right here.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Now, the last one, Ordway was involved.
Mm-hmm.
This was all burned. No, you still had some hope, but now everyone dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, we do see Supergirl and all that, but then, look, they just, Zod and all that, take them down. And yeah, after everything that happened, and all that. And then we exposed them first to gold kryptonite. They've already been exposed to the gold kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
Because so now they're depowered. So then he's wondering then, what do we do? What do I do? And all that. So you're right. They are. I have no idea how to rebuild the Phantom Zone projector, so we can't send them back. Quickcell destroyed. Nevertheless, I am forced to find a way to stop the three of you once and for all. You have brutally murdered all the people on this planet. 5 billion humans at that count in the 80s. Mm-hmm. That is a crime without equal. The Nazi Holocaust paled by comparison. Mm-hmm. And what can you do and you who wear the mantle of Superboy? Remember, there's no in this universe. It was just Superboy. You cherish prosthetic idealism. You cherish life, even ours, and that is what makes you weak. I am not weak, Zod. It is you who are weak. You three who use your powers only for evil. That is the easy way. And while you are powerless now, you are still Kryptonian. What I must do now is harder than anything I've ever done before. But as the last representation of law and justice on the world, it falls me to be judge, jury, and executioner. And then look, even to the point where Feora is begging, saying, I'll be your slave. I'll show you pleasures such as you never dreamed.
And by the way, Cameron brings up a good point because Cameron said, I remember seeing this on Twitter, and one comment said, well, luckily Superman is not like this anymore. And I'm like, really? He's not. Well, yeah, here's the thing. In the hierarchy of the Trinity, I always say, in the hierarchy of who's most likely to kill, from most to least.
Batman. Oh, at least it's Batman.
Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman.
Yep.
From most to least.
Yep. Even though technically Superman should see I would say potentially Superman should be the lead because of his power.
Yeah, but then you take into account like Doomsday or this.
Right, but you see what I mean? Look how dark that bit was.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Cameron brings up an excellent point. Zach has read comics, just not your comics.
Which again,
that's why it's highly subjective on if it's comic accurate.
Exactly. But yeah, that cover right there.
That's why I say these characters have existed since the 30s at this point, particularly for Superman since 1938. You can't tell me there's not a version that reflects exactly Zack Snyder.
Now, again, Carlin ended, but at the very end, Byrne had to be like Superman just going to move on. Kind of how Batman was after shooting Darkseid in Final Crisis. Just move on. It was Carlin and Ordway who realized that's impossible. No.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when
they just could not leave it there. You can't.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have to show the aftermath and stuff. You can't just because again, it's like look at what happened when Rucka had Wonder Woman kill Maxwell Lord. She was dealing with the backlash from that and internal backlash from herself for a long time.
And the whole hero community had to deal with the backlash.
Yeah, exactly. So if you show
it wasn't just her. It wasn't just her. It was everyone.
Yeah, it is. I got news for you. That's the thing. That's what you need. That's what people need to understand. It's like, look, it's like as long as you show the aftermath, and it could even be he's like, I can't be a superhero anymore. I can't be trusted like this anymore.
You and I just went over who is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. That whole part of that is the backlash to that exact moment right there. It's like Wonder Woman. Well, it's also
even play up on it a little.
Well, the other part that's responding to is Jeff Johns saying Wonder Woman's never been human.
She worked in fast food and didn't see it beneath her.
She lost her powers and then ended up being like a super spy.
Yeah. Now, of course. We later got an explanation to why that was.
But the point is that happened, and she was brought down to Earth.
Yep.
Also, she's a literal Earth woman. She's made of clay, particularly now that that's been restored. So
now, granted, the whole idea of her being a golem, so she questions her humanity there. Okay,
that could have been something. But Cameron brings up a good point. Oliver killing Prometheus.
Yep. Oh,
in Cry for Justice.
Well. But that was also a case where he hunted him down and executed him after the fact.
All right, how about this?
That was an execution, and that is pretty bad.
Here's an example. Here's another example. Sinestro Corps War. As soon as the Green Lanterns are allowed to kill, they start taking out the Lanterns who have been killing them before.
Now, but again, but it was also because the Sinestro Corps were not showing restraint.
Yeah, it's like look,
and basically that was the whole point. That was the whole point.
It has to be proportionate. It's like, here's the thing. I said this in a video I made years ago when Tom Taylor said John is a better Superman because he's a pacifist. I go, look, what you have to understand is that, yes, Wonder Woman is the most likely to kill. That's never going to be her first option. Same with Superman. Same in the rare occasions when Batman has to do it. It's never going to be the first option. That will be an option. It will be the final option. That's what they're going to do. That's the final point. They will try everything in their power to get in that story you showed, Robert. Superman had looked at the options available to him. He said, "I can't lock you up. There's no kryptonite. I don't have the Phantom Zone projector. There's literally nothing I can do.
You could regain your power. I can leave you here. You'll die here. I can take you back home. You'll be you can regain your power there though, and I won't be able. I can barely stop you here. I got lucky with the gold kryptonite, which doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I literally have no other options. It's like
this was even more guilty than Man of Steel of railroading. I will say that. Byrne truly railroaded.
Yeah, exactly.
Worse than what happened in Man of Steel. Worse than Man of Steel.
Here's the thing about Man of Steel. Here's the other reason why I don't think it's that bad.
Right.
Superman,
I'm agreeing.
when he's holding, he's like, "Don't do this, Zod. Please don't do. You can't do this." He's begging with Zod to stop.
By the way.
Yeah, exactly. What's up? Aha! Yeah, exactly. She's human.
Taco wins, so she went to Taco Bell.
Here's the thing, Robert. This is the era that Jeff Johns. Oh yeah. This is the era that Jeff Johns is supposed to be a nerd about.
Yep. And look.
What the hell?
She actually went and worked there at this place.
Why doesn't this? I don't understand this.
And again, she didn't look down on it at all. And look at the artwork on this.
It looks very good. I like that.
Yep. But yeah, look at Brian Bolin cover.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a living.
I think that's included in the 80 Years of Wonder Woman like trade that I have. Yeah.
The cover at least.
No, the issue is as well.
Some pass a fist sometimes means to pass a fist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, another comment that I guess thrown about is I have no choice. Critics will go, a good writer writes around that. And I'm like, really? There was nothing.
Well, I would say it so, but at the same time, was that though? That's why I will sometimes argue some things. Like, again, much like with both Byrne, the killing with Byrne and the killing in Man of Steel were both the case of you had to railroad the plot to get Superman to that point.
But here's the thing, though. At least in Man of Steel, Superman was constantly trying to take the fight away. And Zod was constantly like, no, I'm going to murder everyone on this planet.
Oh, no, that part, I'm not going to argue that one. I am not going to argue that.
Yeah, but I'm like, in my mind, they're equally justified. I want to be clear on that. They're equally justified. You can argue which one is more, but they're equally because when there's literally no options and you're dealing with people who have the powers of gods.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And NJ brings up Gail Simone's Wonder Woman speech. Here's the interesting thing about that. You know what? I'll pull it up so I can read it because here is the thing. Wonder Woman speech. Here's the thing about Gail Simone with that. People misunderstand what she's saying because here's what they say. Don't kill if you can wound. Don't wound if you can subdue. Don't subdue if you can pacify. And don't raise a hand at all until you at first extend it. She's saying go through the options first.
This is why I say the Jeff Johns says there's a reason why I don't have any rogues. First of all, you and I both rediscover or going over with Wonder Woman. They almost tried to bring back a bunch of classic villains and didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, look, here's the thing. It's like arguably no hero has a no-kill rule. Here's what I mean by that. If a writer wants to do it, they will find some story way to do it, like with Final Crisis. And I'm not saying it has to be the new rule, but I'm saying there are times when it calls for an exception to said rule.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Pretty much any character.
Agreed.
Including Batman. Now, it has to be the rarest thing ever. It can't then become Batman kills now.
No,
it cannot become that. It's like even in Batman versus Superman, he starts at that point because he's at a dark point in his life. And then when Superman sacrifices his life for mankind, Batman's inspired and goes, I can't do this anymore.
By the way, I just double checked.
Yeah.
That, you know the whole Artemis that's Wonder Woman thing just ends with Artemis' death and then it leads right into Byrne's run. No, I'm not kidding, dude.
Really?
Here's where.
So let me get this straight. They don't even address Artemis is dead. It's like she's dead. Next issue. Anyway.
Yep, because
my God,
it's Byrne picking up where it left off. But yeah, here's the final issue of it. Hold on.
Be prepared for Mike Diodato. All right, there you go.
Yep. And then I gotta skip all the way back up to the top because the way the files are on here.
What's up, but it's like eventually a situation will rise because they're in essentially a combat zone in that case. You can't avoid it. Oh yeah.
See, right here then.
Yeah, I can't wait for that omnibus.
She's right back to being Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. And I go, at least show us a little bit of that. But I get it. It's like that's not the story I wanted to tell and stuff. But
Right. Okay. Yeah.
All right, but now let's get to the second half of the show. So there's a debate going on if Superman is a flop, the Superman movie. Robert and I both think it's not. Here's why. Now, here's the thing. Regardless of whether or not it's a monetary flop or not, let's go off that argument. Warner Brothers is happy with the way it performed. That's it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And no, they're not lying.
Yeah, even if they are lying, they're happy.
That is the big problem I'm seeing. It's that you're having people say they're lying.
Yeah, and I'm like,
it's like, how? How are they lying?
Are they lying to shareholders? Prove that they're lying.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm pretty sure it's illegal for them to lie to shareholders.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, they literally can't. So I'm like, you're not going to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. You try and tell them, it's like, how? How are they lying?
Yeah, exactly. But so let me ask you this, Robert. Okay, so explain to the kind people at home why it's not a flop. Now, here's the thing. Real quick, you can go off of the budget document that went out, and it's like that's probably before like deductions from like tax.
It absolutely was.
Now I saw someone address that when I brought it up, and they say, well, it was only 100,000 tax things off.
We don't know. First of all,
we really don't know that ultimately.
That was only one tax form. They could have had multiple tax forms. We just saw the one.
Because also they also filmed in multiple locations, right? So it's
exactly. They filmed in multiple locations. We just saw the one. We also have the fact, deals could be made. We don't know. Like you brought up before, Man of Steel, most of the stuff was already paid off. Of its budget was paid off before it even came out to theaters.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, wait. Weren't there some headlines say the world is? No, I'm saying that's probably why it didn't. Now, not doing so well internationally does not translate to flopping. Flopping is Flash.
Exactly.
Like exactly.
Both critically and financially.
And even if it didn't, like, let's say, because remember there were articles coming out that saying WB will be happy with, like, let's say 700 million. Now it looks like it's going to make less than that. Now, here's the thing. I always said, and Robert, you were on these shows, so you can back this up, that look, let's say it doesn't make it back. It has enough positive, like, word of mouth that Gunn could say, yeah, I know we took a bit of a hit with this, but look, we have excitement now for the DC brand. That will translate later on down the line.
And I know that people say, like, still no billion. And you have that annoying AI of Superman.
Yeah, but here's the thing. No, everyone that at WB went into this not expecting $1 billion. Would a billion have been nice? Yeah, of course. Any company wants $1 billion.
And here's the other thing is, this is something that Gunn said from day one.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not expecting $1 billion. If it makes $1 billion, great.
The problem was you had a lot of people saying, we'll see.
Now, let me be clear on this. I understand why. Because that was the reason why first off, that was the reason WB and the fan base said, oh yeah, Batman vs. Superman was a failure because it had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It should have been $1 billion.
Yeah, but again, that's the old regime.
And even on that, credit to Robert Meyer Burnett and shout out. Even he said that's a stupid way to think about it because you have like a new Batman and a relatively new Superman, new Wonder Woman. You can't expect it just because the character introduced. Because what if people hated Ben Affleck as Batman?
Exactly. Try and tell these people that.
What if people hated Core and Sweat as Superman? He was the highlight of the movie for me.
Exactly.
So it's like, look, it's like if you now
here's the other thing. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying a lot of people went into this just expecting to hate it. That's it.
How many people did you see say, I went into hoping for it, and then you look at and sit there and you're like, Don't give me that
Now,
BS. Don't give me that.
There were some people that typically weren't like that you wouldn't expect that actually liked the movie, like Snyder Queen. She said it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And I'm like, okay.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm just talking about those who kept on saying for months and months, it's gonna flop, and then they try to claim, oh, I went in hoping. It's like, don't give me that. Do not give me that.
Yeah, it's because, again, they want to go into it because they don't want to have to admit to people that they were wrong. That's what that is.
Yep, but here's the other thing. Let's talk about the big other argument that both sides have been using: inflation.
Yeah, now here's the thing about that. I get why they're going off of that, but Robert, explain away why inflation is a relatively weak argument.
John Campia put it best. Inflation assumes that it's under the assumption that if it came out today, the exact same movie came out today, it will make the exact same amount of money because of inflation. But you have to ignore that. It's like the example he uses: Gone with the Wind. No way in hell. No.
Well, the other thing is
are dead, but I'm just saying. Well, yeah.
The other thing, Robert. Okay, so let's examine it. Here's the problem with the inflation argument. Okay, ticket sales are ridiculously expensive nowadays.
Yep, that's one.
So that's the main thing in my mind, because now, would there be a bunch of people that would show up and go see it, but based upon the YouTube reaction whenever people react to Man of Steel? Yeah, I still maintain that. The problem is you then have to overcome like the high monetary cost. But what are some other points, Robert?
Well, here's a big one I think a lot of people fail to take into account. And for one, and this is assuming if Man of Steel is only coming out today, that means we never had any of the movies beforehand. And that leads to a whole bunch of unknown factors you cannot bring in. Like, oh, how would we know? Like, what movies could have come out? We don't know. We don't know what can predicament. If we just go off of and here's a big one: we don't know where Marvel would be currently because they didn't have BVS to influence their direction.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a civil war to screw everything over.
Yeah, or no, just take it a different direction. I won't say screw everything over, but you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm like, look, it's like, and to be clear, I understand the basis of the argument, and I don't agree with the argument, but I understand that people are just holding the Gunn fans like accountable to the at the time like a decade worth of the same arguments that we had to endure, and I get that. It's like you want intellectual consistency
to a point.
The problem is, again, this is a different Warner Brothers. If this Warner Brothers were behind Zack back then, we would have had the entire DCEU at this point.
Exactly. If you had everything going on, again, there's just so many different factors. So many.
Yeah, exactly. You had a WB that forced the release of Justice League because there was going to be a merger, and the only way they could get their bonus is if they released one more movie. That's why Justice League. Even Whedon wanted it. Oh, God damn it! I gotta do the clip. Even He Who Must Not Be Named wanted the movie to be delayed.
Why did you say that name?
You get the point.
Yes. Again, there's too many factors. You can never, ever be able to determine that. And that's why using inflation as is, even saying we're basing it off of ticket sales, that makes the argument even more relevant.
Yeah, because tickets are even more expensive.
They have to compete with streaming more so than ever.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point. You're assuming, the Snyder fans will show up, but here's the thing. Here's why that particular argument, to be fair, Robert, is kind of weak, because Snyder always had a substantial fan base, especially overseas.
I get that part, but you don't have them being so driven because of how he got screwed over.
That is true. That is very true. That's the other thing.
You don't have the drive. You have as much. He basically, up until the Snyder, the Snyder fan, Snyder cult, whatever, he had no different of a loyal fan base as any director had.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I say it was no different than any other director.
Yeah, exactly.
But then that's why I say it would be a different position because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And now, also to be fair, do I think that the media like tries intensely to inflame Snyder fans by saying, "Oh, it made more domestically than Man of Steel. Move over, Batman versus Superman."
I'm getting so annoyed of that as well.
Because guess what? These are the same people that want to tell you to move on. And by Xavier asked, here's an obvious question that shouldn't be difficult. How is it that Snyder did Jor-El better than Gunn? But what?
Whoa!
Yeah. I'm gonna say no. Wait. How did Gunn fail at John Kent? I want to be clear on that. Explain your argument, Xavier. Explain your argument. I want to hear this argument.
I want to hear it too.
I don't think he failed.
Oh, no, me neither. In fact, I think he got. I also say he got the assignment better than Snyder and then Zack did.
All right. Now, here's the thing.
For Paw. I'm talking about just with Paw.
Now, here's the thing. I could get see. Here's the problem with Gunn. He tried to say, "Oh, I got the idea for the Kryptonians from a comic," and the comic he named, I had literally just put down, and I go, now Lex Luthor thinking Superman is sent to take over the world. That's in there, but it's not true.
Exactly.
That's the key point here. I'm like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. The fact that was Xavier saying this shouldn't be difficult.
In my mind, both got John Kent pretty well. Man of Steel got Golden Age John Kent. Now, no, wait. Let's go. Did Goyer get John Kent wrong? Yes, because remember, you could argue the Zack written John Kent is in Batman versus Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I would say the Snyder influence, since he didn't write it. Remember, he didn't write it, so
he didn't write it. Well, let me put it this way: counting also the school bus thing and all that stuff. I'm not saying that necessarily just the tornado part, but because remember, again, the ones where he did have a more of a story influence.
Yes.
Were the ones that people say are like the best parts.
Now, I will say this about Jor-El with his Gunn. Gunn did it for a story reason that wasn't a good one, but it also was like,
the comics he cited were like, no, that's not in that comic.
I agree with that. But with Paw, no, he nailed Paw. If Xavier's talking about the hickness of it. Ma got that harder than Jonathan did.
Yeah. Oh, and also here's the thing. It's like, look.
Would you agree with that? Ma got hit with that harder than Jonathan.
Yeah. By the way, the reasoning, it's kind of funny because remember, I gave Superman a 7 out of 10. The minute Gunn starts opening his about that, I'm like, no. What are the chances that Zor-El is a good guy? Because the Superman writer refused to acknowledge that because Gunn tried to do that in the Superman thing. For Supergirl, and the writer refused, like stood their ground. Well, credit to them. So I'd say it's a pretty good chance that Zor-El at least is the good guy, which makes it worse with Jor-El.
Because it's a reverse lobe.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my, it's like you want to make them particularly bad. Now, I don't think he's going to retcon it, but I could see a scenario where like maybe he decides, okay, people really hate this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it could if he's able to put down his ego.
Wait, look at the previous thing about quote your choices, your actions. That's what makes you who you are. Not much of being Kansas. But wait. What did? Let's address the first part. Not much of being Kansas like. Why is that a problem?
Because they're being like farmers.
Yeah, and how they make them act like loving parents. Why is that bad?
Again, I think some of the hickness about like, ooh, what is this thing? It's like there are people like that.
Any parent has an issue FaceTiming someone or calling someone on the phone furthermore,
that he's basically saying Smallville should be the template.
Smallville is one of the worst versions for Krypton. I'm going to tell you that.
No, he's not about Krypton. He's not talking about Krypton.
No, but I'm saying don't take Smallville as gospel.
Yeah, he's talking about for Mom and Pa.
Yeah, do not take Smallville as gospel because they royally screwed up so much of Superman's lore and Wonder Woman's lore in a lot of different places.
And Xavier, there have been other handlings of Ma and Pa, and yes, okay. I know there are people saying these act nothing like people from Kansas do. It's like we don't know. Remember, Mom and Pa usually live out pretty far from the town. Yes, they come visit the town. It's not like they live in the town.
Yeah, it's. Oh, by the way, also people say they act nothing like people from Kansas. Have you interacted with people from Kansas?
Well, there's been a lot of people who say they are, and they are, but still, the notion is that these people, and again, the Kents live pretty far away. They can develop into our type of people that you want them to be, and you can still believe it.
Exactly. But the point is, don't expect your favorite version to be reflected in every version of the character.
Hey, I had to deal with the Snyder version.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you know what?
And that been my biggest problem for so long.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but it's like, look, a version of the character. Anyone that tells you these characters are irreparably damaged are lying, because and actually Zach made a good point. He said if these characters are so fragile that one take can completely destroy them forever, people, then these characters are not strong and not as strong as you think they are.
Exactly.
And that's Zach saying, look, you don't have to like my version. Don't tell me it broke the character.
Now I get, and now the fact he was using the argument about Superman and about Batman killing.
No, but here's the thing. Here's why it's hypocritical that when people say, oh, that was my favorite, my favorite Batman's Michael Keaton. And I go, he killed. And he goes, oh, we hate that. And I go, since when? All I hear about is how he's the most accurate Batman.
Yep. Rebel, bit off topic, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, really off topic, but anyway.
But look, again, but here's the thing now. People need to understand, those who are saying it was a flop are those who want to, again, majority of them are people who think if it bombs, they'll come begging Zach to come back. Let's be honest. Or it's either that, or it's like they're petty enough that they're like, if I can't have the Snyderverse, no one should have a universe.
Yeah, and Xavier brings up a good point. Both directors handled certain amount of Superman in an I would say in a great manner. But both of them got great parts of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Parker, that's fine to believe that. It's just the people that hate Batman, particularly for the killing, and say that Ben Affleck's Batman is inaccurate just because of that, then hold up Michael Keaton as the best version of Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I would say he's one of the better ones that had handled the balance.
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
there's a lot of factors that I don't get about. There's a lot of factors where I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the point there. I'm just going to tell you that right there. But it's like, look, just because you don't like the version of the character does not mean it's unpopular. Or you have to actually have numbers. Like with me, at least with Wonder Woman and Trinity, I have some charts that or some ratings that can estimate.
No, you say charts, I'm thinking, it all makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And just then can you explain why just one version of Wonder Woman, which is not even canon? No, it's because too many creatives keep referencing that version or using that version. And if you ignore that version, it doesn't affect it anymore.
Yep, I will agree with Xavier up above NJ's comment.
Personally, God's Lex it was way better. It fits for the version that they're going for, because again,
I will say this: it's much more obviously comic accurate. I'm not saying solely comic; it's more obviously comic accurate than Zach's was, where it was like you really have to dig into it to find the accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. Did you hear those fans forgot Bruce has been known to go on a rampage after Jason's death, especially if the DCU Dick Grayson was his first son, mind you? Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, as soon as I know some people hated that, someone actually told me that that's how I know that like Zach never read a comic book, is when Dick Grayson was the first Robin to get killed, and I go, no, but think about it this way: if that's the one that he considers to be his son is the first one to die, that explains why he went nuts.
And technically, Sean Gordon Murphy by accident had it be Jason was the first Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? It was an accident, but yes, it happened.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it was one of those universes that had, and also Dark Knight Returns. 2, Dick Grayson dies. Well, he becomes the Joker, and then he dies.
Yep, and of course that one, I actually looking back over that, I have to wonder, did Batman really not care, or was it the case where he already knew right going into the fight, this ain't Dick?
Yeah,
exactly. Dick's not there at all, so I don't care. Going in, I don't care because I know even saying "I love you, son" isn't going to do it.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell in that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. But really, okay. So the point that we want to leave you guys with is: look, just because you don't like Superman, don't assume that you know how movies work.
Exactly.
And here's the thing.
Let's bring up the other part. Can we bring up one other part? Yeah.
The part that I want to bring up is the stocks, because everyone points to those stocks thing, and I go, healthy companies can release successful movies and their stocks still go down. It doesn't automatically rebound. And then they'll point to ZSJL going down. I'm like, they were launching Max as well.
And here's something else I should point out. Let's get that behind the scenes situation.
Yeah, go ahead.
The behind the scenes clip.
Oh yeah.
Showing of David getting instructions from Gunn, and they seem to kind of argue, kind of not. And you hear people saying, "See, Gunn doesn't know it because Zach, they had a push-up off, and whoever won would concede." It's like, that's manly. It's like, first of all, by that logic, you're basically saying Zach is better than all directors because that's how he defeats an argument. And second of all, people clearly do not know how movies are made.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
A bad director will just tell the actor to either figure it out or just simply say, or it's too controlling.
Well, here's the thing. It's the director's choice, period. It's
yes.
like Zach chose it. He's like, hey, look, I'll tell you what. Both great ideas. They both work for the story. Let's settle it this way. If Gunn doesn't want to do that,
that's a coin flip. That's as you can see, it's a coin flip. It just gives a bit more to Cavill or him to do it.
Yeah, and it's like, look, good directors will involve Gunn is involving Corn Sweat in the Superman speech, because arguably that's like one of the most important parts of the movie. So it's like, let's make sure that like, look, everything. Let's make sure that like you get involved in it too, because then you have investment stuff. That's it.
Exactly. Again, I'm a person who's seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff growing up. Mm-hmm. I can definitely tell you, a lot of people are actually able to go. Like, you look at it, you can never see a lot of directors that you might not hear them, but you see them, you're like,
mm-hmm.
And they're telling them everything. We're like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen Zach do that plenty of times where he's trying to explain it. He's like,
oh, remember? Did you see this, Robert? Where Gunn says that Wonder Woman has more adaptations than Superman?
I did not see that. Where did he say that?
So he was saying about actually. Here's the like.
Unless he means she's had various radical adaptations, which
no, because what had happened is that he had said that like. That like recently Wonder Woman has gotten more Batman and Wonder Woman and stuff have gotten more stuff than Superman. And I go, that's not true though.
Okay, can I be honest about one thing here? This is probably the one problem about him being the head of DC, where he's been put in this position. Because I'm positive if Zach was in his position, not saying he would take it, but if he was, he'd probably make more flub ups too.
No, he wouldn't even say anything. He'd go, no, I'm not going to say it. He might say, hey,
maybe. I said, maybe. You never know. We won't ever know. I'm just saying, probably. I was just saying, probably, but yeah, I could be wrong.
But it's like they got to give him an actually good script to read and say, hey, this is what you say. No ad-libbing. Stop it.
That's true. Because a lot of ad-libbing is really getting him.
Him and Tom King. I'm like, guys, just stick to a script and move the F on.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really because the Wonder Woman statement is maybe he phrased it wrong, but the way he said it, it does sound like, look, Wonder Woman has gotten more stuff than Superman. I go, that's not that's objectively not true. They just took away something of hers.
Yep, I'm trying to find where that quote is. Oh,
Yeah.
he said. I think they said Wonder Woman has been easier to adapt. Isn't that the quote?
Hang on.
I don't know what it is. That's I just did a quick look online.
It says, I'm trying to actually find that because
I just looked. James Gunn, Wonder Woman's had more adaptations. I'm not finding it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. It could be some people like misunderstood it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where?
Wait a minute. It said, according to this, that James Gunn indicated that the new DC Universe Wonder Woman hasn't had as many definitive portrayals compared to other major characters like Batman. So it's the opposite.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So that sounds like that's not the exact quote. It's what the Google, summary is. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, here's something from a few days ago. James Gunn is correcting his major Wonder Woman mistake. Oh no, that can't be it.
Anyway, if it's easier to adapt than why do we understand because they put people on Wonder Woman that don't know the character. I said this to John's Longbox today. If you because there are creatives that want to write Diana and understand Diana, but they don't put those people on the book. They put Tom King on there. Or
there are people who pitch ideas, and again, the fact that one pilot almost went to pilot in the first place.
Even that used Veronica Cale, so I was using a villain. That's nice.
No, that's nice, but the overall singer, like the fact that actually went to production.
I know.
Tells you a problem.
If Wonder Woman is being depressed because she's single on Facebook, and I go, no.
And the fact she was willing to hold someone by the throat and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Or talk about how her boobs open doors and stuff, and I go, no.
Again, there's so much of there that was wrong, and it's like, again, you look at that, but I've been looking at that pilot as a prime example of the problem. Mm-hmm. Can we agree to that? That's the prime example of the problem of Hollywood with it. This is not a DC problem. It's a creative problem.
Is not enough people care about Wonder Woman to make actual pitches for her. Because that's not a Wonder Woman show.
Yeah, most people are more likely to think she's Xena.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone is gonna be like Alan Heinberg and Zack Snyder and Patty Jenkins that actually get it. I said those names too because if you get rid of those names, you get Wonder Woman 1984. And no one wants that.
No, Patty Jenkins was involved with 84.
No. I meant that's why I had Zach and Heinberg
and Alan.
On there.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just.
Yeah,
but yeah, you try and tell people any of this, and it's just like they don't. It's not black and white. Is what I keep telling people. Again, the Wonder Woman thing is not black and white. Like the whole idea, like why doesn't she have as many? It's a mixture of the contract, and again, people who just don't understand her enough to give a good pitch.
And Xavier, Parasite, I would say Parasite, because Xavier asked, question was, you Superman fans, what other classic villains of Kal-El besides Lex, Brainiac, and Zod have not had their time?
But I'll answer that one first, and I'll answer NJ's then after that. But other ones, Mixie.
That one you have to really work to adapt them properly, but you can.
Nope. You can do it easily. The Superboy show proved it.
Okay, yeah, you can.
You can keep him in disguise in a human form for the most part.
Okay, that works.
Or you can take you on the form of someone else. Like you have it be all this weird stuff keeps happening. Now there's a kid where you'd have multiple villains like the trickster, prankster, the toy man, and all that. But eventually you keep this one guy's constantly there until it's eventually revealed, boom!
And Cameron, Mannheim was in Superman and Lois.
But for NJ, it's not that simple.
NJ asked, what needs to change in order to care? Because here's the thing, if you have people that care, the family has to be involved in the scripts for movies and I think TV as well. It's not just like they can just greenlight it.
But you have that, but it's also, again, the fact is it's not a matter of caring. It's a matter of understanding. And a lot of people just look at Wonder Woman just on the surface level of she's the prominent female superhero.
Yeah.
And then that's first what they see her, then they think Xena. Those are the two things.
Because on a surface level, she looks like Xena or Red Sonja or insert any like female warrior, but they don't get the character.
Now, I do think a part of that is the blame for all the years of the Marston contract, keeping Wonder Woman from not having that many appearances. So unfortunately, you've had all these other strong female characters to influence her.
Yeah, exactly.
Or influence how people see her.
And then also on the DC side, it's partly DC's fault because they don't put they put the people that only see her as Xena or like Wonder Woman 1984 as opposed to like the actual character. Like they should be putting guys like Jeremy Adams, Kelly Thompson, and all these people like clearly get the character.
Right, exactly.
But no, they put the character because they're like, oh, Tom King will increase sales on Wonder Woman. But anyway. But I think that's a good place to leave it. So the thing I want to leave you guys with is, look, don't assume that just because you like something that was a failure. That's the other issue that like anti-Snyder fans had back in the day. What are you trying to add, Robert?
I just want to say, I'm seeing already someone else saying Zack would give us billions if he was still doing stuff right now. It's like, we don't know that, guys. Stop saying that.
We don't know that. But anyway.
Yeah. I just saw that as I was flipping through.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so Robert, where can we find you, and what have you got coming on your channel, my brother?
I'm back to doing some gaming stream. I got a bunch of movie reviews in the can. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I got a bunch of PTNs in the cans. I'm building up to 600 where I'll cover Watchmen.
Hell yeah. As for me, so tomorrow I'm having Hero Darky Dark on to review, to like promote his comic, and then CLD at 9 p.m. as usual. Super Wonder Legacy. It looks like Britt and I are going to be talking about when animated adaptations completely fail, and or like when they change stuff, how much change is okay. And then for Amazon Answers, I'm going to be talking about Wonder Woman Historia. And yeah, that's what I'll like leave you guys with. Stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod, and Steve Trevor belongs.
He's already dead. He's already dead. So
his corpse belongs in a cheese grater. Zois and Max about for life. We'll see you later. Bye bye.